Imagine stepping back into 1938. The world was on the brink of change, but for the elite, the open road was the ultimate frontier. Most people at the time saw camping as a struggle against the elements, dusty tents and makeshift beds. But then there was the Vagabond. This wasn't just a vehicle, it was a radical statement that long-distance travel didn't have to mean sacrificing dignity. Welcome to Carland, and today we're looking at the machine that invented the luxury motorhome before the world even knew it needed one. The 1938 Vagabond, paired with the legendary Curtiss Aerocar trailer, was conceived in an era when automobiles were evolving from basic tools into symbols of absolute status. While others were building recreational vehicles for weekend hobbyists, the creators of the Vagabond had a different vision. They wanted to build a rolling residence of the highest order, a home that could traverse thousands of miles with total autonomy, regardless of how limited the local infrastructure might be. At the very heart of this ambitious project was a highly specialized tractor unit. It wasn't something you could just buy off a showroom floor. It was based on a 1938 REO Cab-Over-Engine truck, custom-built by the Standard Carriage Works of Los Angeles. Every weld, every bolt, and every curve was a bespoke engineering solution tailored specifically to handle the massive demands of the Curtiss Aerocar that would follow behind it. The choice of a cab-over-engine configuration was a stroke of genius. By placing the driver directly over the front wheels, the engineers were able to drastically reduce the overall length of the tractor. This was crucial because the trailer itself was massive. By saving space at the front, they could maximize the luxury and usable space in the back, ensuring the entire rig remained manageable on the narrow, winding roads of the late 1930s. But the engineering didn't stop at the exterior. The chassis of this REO truck had to be extensively reinforced. Think about the stress of pulling a giant aerodynamic aluminum trailer across the American landscape for years on end. Engineers paid meticulous attention to torsional rigidity and axle loading. They weren't just building for today, they were building for a lifetime of heavy-duty towing, ensuring that the frame would never buckle under the weight of its own ambition. Now let's look at the most unconventional part of the entire setup, the drivetrain. In an era when every heavy truck had its engine in the front under a massive hood, the Vagabond went the other way. It employed a rear-mounted power plant. Do you think putting the engine in the back of a 1930s truck was a stroke of genius or a recipe for a cooling disaster? Let us know in the comments. The reason for the rear engine was actually quite scientific: weight distribution. By shifting the massive weight of the engine toward the rear, the engineers reduced the stress on the front axle and significantly improved traction. This was absolutely vital when pulling such a large trailer at sustained speeds. It kept the front end light and responsive, allowing the driver to navigate the rig with a level of precision that was unheard of for vehicles of this size. Under that rear hood sat a powerhouse, a White Truck V12 gasoline engine. For 1938, this was an astronomical level of performance. This engine was rated at 212 horsepower, a figure that put most luxury cars of the day to shame. The V12 wasn't chosen just for its raw power, but for its legendary smoothness. 12 cylinders allowed for exceptionally balanced operation, reducing vibration and mechanical stress, which was critical for a vehicle expected to operate continuously for thousands of miles while maintaining passenger comfort. This engine proved its worth over time, remaining in service for a staggering 250,000 miles. Think about that, over 400,000 kilometers on a gasoline engine from the 1930s. This speaks volumes about the quality of the engineering and the meticulous care given to the vehicle. This wasn't a truck driven carelessly. It was managed as a long-term investment. Every mile was a testament to the idea that reliability and luxury could go hand in hand. As we wrap up the first part of this journey, we have to ask, if you had the money in 1938, would you have chosen this V12 beast over a private train car? Stay with us, because in Part 2, we're going to see how this gasoline giant transformed into a diesel legend and explore the aviation secrets inside the trailer.
As the decades passed, the world changed, and so did the technology under the Vagabond's skin. By 1953, the automotive industry was moving away from the smooth, thirsty gasoline V12s of the pre-war era toward the rugged efficiency of diesel. The owners of the Vagabond faced a choice: retire the aging palace or give it a new heart. They chose the latter, embarking on a mechanical transformation that would define the vehicle's legacy for the next 40 years. The original V12 was pulled out and replaced with a Cummins Diesel engine producing 300 horsepower. This wasn't just an upgrade, it was a total change in the vehicle's personality. The Cummins engine offered superior torque characteristics, improved fuel efficiency, and significantly greater longevity compared to gasoline engines of comparable output. This conversion effectively reset the clock on the Vagabond's life and fundamentally changed its operating character. What is truly mind-blowing is how long that Cummins engine stayed in service. It powered the Vagabond from 1953 all the way until 1991. Can you think of any modern vehicle that could stay in active service for nearly 40 years on a single engine today? It's almost unbelievable. By the time it was finally retired, the Vagabond had a working history spanning more than half a century, something virtually unheard of for a custom-built vehicle of such complexity. While the tractor unit provided the muscle, the Curtiss Aerocar trailer provided the soul. If you look at the shape of the trailer, you'll immediately see the influence of aviation. It wasn't designed by house builders, it was designed by aircraft engineers. With its streamlined aluminum body and smooth, sweeping contours, it looked more like a fuselage from a high-speed passenger plane than a traditional trailer. The Curtiss Company was deeply rooted in the world of flight, and they applied those same aircraft construction principles to road transport. They emphasized aerodynamic efficiency, structural strength, and weight optimization. Every curve on that aluminum skin was designed to reduce drag and increase stability at high speeds. This wasn't just for looks, its shape contributed to greater stability at speed, allowing the massive rig to stay planted on the road even when the winds were howling. Stepping inside the Curtiss Aerocar was like stepping into a luxury yacht. It was a fully realized living space, designed with a level of efficiency that would make a modern tiny home builder jealous. It featured sleeping quarters, lounge seating, dining facilities, storage compartments, and service areas arranged with remarkable efficiency. The interior reflected the luxury expectations of its intended users, combining craftsmanship with practicality. Unlike the recreational campers that would become popular in the 1960s, the Aerocar was designed for extended occupancy. It was built for long journeys where you wouldn't or couldn't rely on hotels. It provided total autonomy. You had your own kitchen, your own bed, and your own luxury lounge, all traveling with you at 60 miles per hour. It was the ultimate expression of freedom for the traveler who refused to compromise. Throughout its long and storied life, the Vagabond and its Aerocar trailer found a very specific and dignified home: Forest Lawn Memorial Park. Here, the vehicle took on a ceremonial and transport role that demanded both reliability and dignified presentation. Its smooth operation, quiet cruising characteristics, and imposing yet elegant appearance made it ideally suited to this purpose. The Vagabond became more than just a truck during these years. It became an institution. It was a rolling landmark that represented a unique intersection of engineering ambition, luxury, and institutional use. People didn't just see a vehicle, they saw a piece of American history moving down the street.
It was a reminder of an era when things were built to last and when design was used to elevate even the most practical of tasks into something beautiful. But even the greatest legends must eventually come to a stop. After 50 years of service, how do you preserve a machine this complex? In our final part, we'll look at the Vagabond's journey into the halls of the world's greatest museums and see where this silver ghost rests today. By the late 1990s, the Vagabond had finally reached the end of its working life, but its story was far from over. In 1998, recognizing its historical and cultural significance, the Vagabond was transferred to the world-renowned Peterson Automotive Museum. There, it was preserved not merely as a curiosity, but as a landmark example of experimental vehicle design and pre-war American innovation. For nearly 2 decades, the Vagabond sat in the museum, a silent witness to the evolution of the automobile. Even though it was no longer cruising the highways, its impact was felt by everyone who walked past its gleaming aluminum curves. It represented a time when engineers were willing to try anything from rear engines to aviation-style trailers just to see if they could build a better future. It was a what-if made of steel and aluminum. In 2017, the museum made the difficult decision to sell the vehicle at auction. By this time, the Cummins Diesel engine that had hummed for nearly 40 years was no longer operational, but the Vagabond remained largely intact as a rolling artifact of a bold and imaginative era. If you had the chance to buy a piece of history like this, would you keep it in a museum, or would you try to get that diesel engine roaring one last time? When we look back at the 1938 Vagabond today, it occupies a very lonely place in automotive history. You see, it wasn't mass-produced. There was no assembly line for these. There were no direct successors or a long lineage of similar vehicles that followed in its footsteps. It exists as a singular experiment, a one-of-one masterpiece that anticipated the modern luxury motorhome by decades. It proved that the dream of bringing one's home with you on the road was being explored at the highest levels of engineering long before it became a mainstream hobby. The Vagabond was the pioneer of a lifestyle that millions of people around the world now enjoy every single day. It was the grandfather of every high-end Class A motorhome parked in campgrounds today, though few people realize its origins. The engineering solutions found in the Vagabond, like the cab-over-engine design for space efficiency and the rear engine layout for weight distribution, are things we still discuss in modern vehicle design. It was a laboratory for ideas that were too advanced for their time. It reminds us that sometimes the best ideas aren't the ones that catch on immediately, but the ones that wait for the rest of the world to catch up to them. As we look back at the gleaming aluminum of the Aerocar trailer one last time, we're reminded of the craftsmanship that went into every rivet. In today's world of plastic and disposable goods, the Vagabond stands as a monument to durability. It wasn't built to be replaced in 5 years, it was built to run for half a century. That kind of commitment to quality is what makes a vehicle a legend on the Carland channel. The Vagabond's journey from a custom-built REO tractor to a diesel-powered workhorse and finally to a museum artifact is a complete circle. It shows the entire life cycle of an extraordinary machine. It served its purpose with dignity, it pushed the boundaries of technology, and now it serves as an inspiration for the next generation of designers and dreamers. At Carland, we value these rare machines because they challenge the status quo. They show us that the road doesn't have to be a place of hardship. It can be a place of luxury and innovation. Stories like the Vagabond remind us that the future is often imagined and built by hand long before the rest of the world is ready to see it. It is a reminder to keep dreaming, keep building, and keep pushing the limits of what a vehicle can be. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the 1938 Vagabond and the Curtiss Aerocar, don't forget to subscribe and stay with the channel. We have many more stories of rare, forgotten, and revolutionary machines waiting to be told. What other forgotten legends should we cover next? Let us know your suggestions in the comments below. Keep your eyes on the horizon, and we'll see you in the next one.